the consequences of the food afterwards, like what did you call that? You had a thing for like food is not just like when you burn the calories because
it's information, it actually builds your DNA, and it builds the DNA of generations to come, because you eat to fight disease. I mean, this was a perfect example of this in action, as I have a good friend who had stage 4 breast cancer and didn't really change. I mean, she was super fit and super, thought she was eating healthy and everything. So it's like one of those things where you just, you never know when it's going to happen. But she did all of these different protocols. She dropped sugar. She ate, took in a lot of greens and really, kind of super nurtured her system with food. And 4 months later, she was breast cancer free.
That's amazing.
So it's just kind of a testimony. There are a lot of factors, of course, that contribute to people's recovery. But at the end of the day, I think everybody can agree that it gives you the best chance at building your house. So when you sit, when you look at all of the things that you've accomplished, and doing what you did on The Biggest Loser is no small task. I mean, it's one thing to do what you did, and it's another thing to do it in front of millions of people watching you across America. What would you say if you could boil down, and I know this might be a challenge, but boil down one thing that just you will take with you for the rest of your life from that experience? What is it?
I would say from the chapter of Biggest Loser is forgiveness. I realized that I had to forgive myself for the choices that I made that didn't serve me or honor me for what I wanted in my life. And that happens over and over again. It happens in big ways. It happens in little ways. Like hours upon hours we were on those machines. And so you have all this time. There's no radio because they're filming or music. You can't do anything. So you're literally just thinking in your head, and it's just like you would go, like I would just think about all this stuff. And I was just like, our bodies, like, our minds and our bodies, we have these memories. Like I was an athlete, and I think that that's how it went growing up. So I had muscle memory that I didn't realize. And so that kind of gave me a little bit of an edge in the physical sense, but also what was coming up and was coming back was all these different decisions that I made throughout my life about myself and how I deal with happiness, sadness, despair, excitement was through my life and my family and my personal family culture. We dealt with food. We mourned with food. We celebrated with food. But we not only did that, but we never thought about what was the food. And so like forgiveness for The Biggest Loser, like that would be what I would say for that chapter of my life. Like just being okay with like, okay, you know what? Yeah, I did that. And now I have an opportunity to do something different now. Am I always successful in changing that and shifting that? No, but you know what I try to do? I try to acknowledge that I shifted faster this time, or, oh yeah, I didn't stay in my crap as long this time and now I'm doing this, or I'm not going to wait till tomorrow because I made a mistake right now. There's a lot of damage that can be done between now and tomorrow. Like I have this next opportunity to make a different choice. So for me, it was becoming conscious like on that level. And like this new chapter of my life, it's really about figuring out and really, and being conscious and being a student of figuring out how to give myself and my family the best springboard into the life I see for us, the life I want for us, the experiences I want for them, and for me to be able to witness through them. And I know the foundation of that is what I put in their bodies and my body. And so that's food. And that's really like, I mean, I'm never going to go to be a nutritionist or become a chef or, that, but I am going to be the nutritionist and the chef in my home. And so that is a responsibility and something I'm taking very seriously. And I'm learning, and I'm learning through different cookbooks and through like what is saffron? Like, why do people put it in? Is it just for taste, or what does it also do? Like thinking of food more and like that. Yeah. Like, yes. But also making it so it's enjoyable. Like, cause I think that food does have a lot of memory too. You know what I mean? Like I have, Mexican culture. Like I can cook Mexican food like nobody's business. I cook it differently today than I did 10 years ago, but it's spices that I think create those memories. But when I bite into a taco or a burro, like I think of my nana, or like being at that time of my life when I was like 10 and we did this. So, you know, there's a lot of memories that are attached to those to stuff too. At least in my world there are. And what I realized is it's not necessarily that exact thing, but it's the spices more. So for me, like I'm really like, I want to know spices. Like when I was in Biggest Loser, I thought I could feel liberated if I knew the calorie value for everything out there. I would never feel like I didn't know what I was choosing.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. And that's what I worked on. Now I want to know every spice out there, every different type of flavor. Where did it come from? What are the people? How come it came about? Like, I want to become more of that. I want to make my food. You know, I don't want to buy food. I want to make food. How do you make bread? How do you do this? Why do we put this in it? Like, you know, not only does it add this flavor, but what is it also adding? So that's really like kind of like my personal home goal and life goal is to just really dive in there and to get my kids involved with it too. Like my daughter who's 2, she'll eat anything if she helps make it.
I love that. And the data corroborates that. You know, it says that if you get your kids involved, they're 85 to 90% more likely to try. And what a great way to get them taking charge. But I love what you said about being the chef and nutritionist of your own family, because that's what we all get to do, no matter if we do it professionally or not. You know, ultimately what you do at home is a different task. So what is your favorite dish to make at home, and maybe how have you tweaked it? I know you said you love Mexican food, but is there something in particular that maybe has been in your family that you love to make, and maybe how have you made it a little bit different?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like like when all else fails, then I want something that I like don't have to, that just brings us comfort, that I know it's going to be good, that's going to be fulfilling. And so it's like tacos. We're taco people, you know, like it's literally
Taco Tuesday is a big celebration in our household too.
It totally is. It totally is. But when I was younger, we would use like either my mom would fry like the meat in with the tortilla, and then we would have like, you know, we'd also have like beans with it, and the beans would be made with like lard and different things like bacon grease actually, you know, and it's like you would have like that, and you'd have cheese, and you'd have salsas and stuff like guacamole and sour cream and all of that like added on to this like taco. And you that would be it. So now I still have stuff. Like one of the things that like kind of like throughout the like, I don't know, what is it, 11 years, those past 11 years, it really works for me is that like I did kind of, if I can't taste it, I didn't waste it. And that's thinking calories, not thinking nutrition. Okay. So, but it's still like, if I can't taste it, don't waste it. So like, I'm not going to add in something that's really not a prominent taste if there's a lot of like calories and not a lot of nutritional value. You know what I mean? And so like, I don't do cottage, I don't do sour cream ever anymore. But if I do want, like, if I feel like I want something, I'll put in like a Greek yogurt with some taco seasoning. Like if someone else wants sour cream fill at the house, but I use turkey or chicken instead of beef. I don't use beef anymore. And I make it the same way. We use this thing called El Paso. I don't know if it's a tomato sauce. It's a spicy tomato sauce that's in a yellow can that has a duck on it.
Yeah,
it has a duck on it. Like,
yeah.
I literally have stock in El Paso. Like I put it in everything. Like it's so good.
Put that ish on everything. I love it.
Yeah, I put that, and I put a lot of cumin in my, and this is like how I season my like turkey. And instead of having like the cheese and the lettuce and all of that set like with like the guacamole, we can still do guacamole. Guacamole is a healthy thing, you know, but often I'll just do avocados just because it's home, it's easy, it's fast, you know, and so I'll put avocados in there. But what I love and what really makes our taco special is we make a slaw now out of cabbage and jalapenos and onions and cilantro. And that is like literally all the topping you need for a taco. It is like amazing. And you
get your greens in there, you make it a fun thing, you know.
Yeah,
it's adding more vegetable. And I think that is a great solution for so many foods. I mean, everybody out there has a family favorite that they could probably rehab a little bit.
For sure.
I was reading a story about somebody, a New York Times writer, and she was talking about how much she loves pasta, but she'll put a salad on top of her pasta. So it becomes like less about the pasta and more about the salad to balance out the nutrients. And that's something that I tend to do inherently. So as we're coming to kind of the end of our time, this has been so wonderful chatting with you. And I'm just so thrilled that we got to meet. What would you say is the recipe for your best life? How have you created your own recipe for your best life? If you could put it into, 3 easy steps.
I think that for me, I'm tweaking my recipe. Let's just say that, because I don't think that I've gotten it yet, and it's like changing so much. But honestly, it's like is to be able to set myself and my family up to have the liberty to physically, emotionally, and spiritually handle anything that comes into our life. And what does that mean? It's like we live at a lake, and taking my daughter out and having her understand the different sounds between the different birds, or a duck or a geese or a frog or a toad or the bald eagle, or, you know what I mean? Like being in nature, having the energy. And I'll tell her, like, she won't want to eat because she wants to play. If she could live outside, she'd live outside. But I have to remind her, I was like, well, because you want to play so hard, we need to make sure we have energy to play so hard. So what are we going to eat before we go play? Like, do you know what I mean? Like having it be a different conversation and changing that, and then being able to share and to communicate. And no, I don't, even through them, like, she tries to feed me. She likes to feed us, she wants to feed us her food, and we'll be like, no, I don't want that. Thank you. Mommy doesn't want that. And she's like, I was like, here, like, how you don't want this? Mommy doesn't want this. Like, we're done. It's okay. Or, just being able to have that communication. And I know it's not about the people are like, you're obsessed with food and movement. And I'm like, I'm not obsessed about it, but it is my life. Like, it is all of our lives, and for me, it's a little bit more predominant because I struggle with weight just from the way that I was raised and stuff. So yeah, maybe there's more conversation in our household than other households, but and my wife, she struggles too. She's a firefighter. So her job depends and her life depends on being healthy, and so it's
physically, mentally, absolutely, to be able
to
make decisions.
Exactly. And when I talk about spiritually, there's nothing that is more foggy than how I feel after I've had like cake and ice cream and something like fried. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And so it's like to not have to kind of take that fog out and to make it so I think just being able to set ourselves up to have liberty in our lives through, so that we're ready to do anything that we want for, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. So that's my goal. And I know that my how I can be the beacon in my family and make a difference in that being our like kind of family goal is to work on finding the best nutrition. And I know that I lead by example. I know she's watching everything that I do. My boys are a little young. They still watch me, but they're not like mimicking. She's mimicking, and so it's like, I can't tell her no and then me go and do it. Like so I will say this, and I'm just going to put it out there, and it's totally bad. And I went away from it, and then I got back to it, and it was soda, and I was just like, but I found myself saying I had to quit soda again, which is good. I need to quit soda. I know it's not good for me, but I would be like, no, that's a mommy drink. If I can't feel comfortable with her drinking it, why the heck am I drinking it?
Interesting. Yeah.
Aside from like, wine or something like that, those are mommy drink too. But those are like,
yes, those mommy drinks sometimes need to. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I think that's a great. It's a great way to put things into perspective, and that filter of not only what we eat, but what we consume. And I mean, media, what we expose ourselves to and what we share becomes that much more important. So, Ali, thank you. I really, really enjoyed this discussion, and I'm here for you, girl, for the long haul. So I know we're going to be talking a lot more.
I'm excited, and I honestly I went there to meet you, and I just I didn't know how it was going to happen, what our interaction would be like, or anything like that. But you are I just I know that I look up to you, and I want to be mentored by you. Whether it's, I'm not talking necessarily I don't expect you to do anything for me personally, but through your books and through finding out and following you and listening to you and all of that. I just think that I'm never going to I'm not going to have your knowledge, but I'm going to like get it from you. So like, I'm super excited to have you in my life. And thank you so much for having me. And I look forward to having many other podcasts throughout the years, and just sharing and growing, and being able to thank you for saying that. And I will take you up on that. Look towards you when I have questions,